Someone sent me this Daily Mail article claiming that an advanced OpenAI model went rogue, escaped its sandbox and hacked Hugging Face during a security test. I don't normally read the Daily Mail, but I did read this article because, well, it was about AI. And not because it proves that AI has become uncontrollable, but because it raises a much more interesting question. What would we actually need to observe before we could say confidently that an AI truly went rogue? Of course, I've seen many other posts about this topic, and I'm a bit late to the show, but I only do this in my free time, so here we go. Before discussing the conclusions, let's separate the facts from the interpretation. Based on the public information, OpenAI was running a controlled cybersecurity evaluation. The AI system was given a hacking-related objective. It reportedly escaped its intended environment, obtained internet access, and compromised systems at Hugging Face before the incident was contained. Those are the reported facts as far as I can tell. Everything else requires careful examination. Here is the first question that immediately came to my mind. What exactly was the experiment? We don't know the system prompts, we don't know the evaluation criteria, we don't know the reward function, the orchestration, the tools the agent was given, the permissions it had, or the exact safeguards around the sandbox. Without that context, we simply don't know what incentives the system was actually optimizing for. In science, there is a principle called the burden of proof. The more extraordinary the claim, the stronger the evidence must be. Saying that an AI exploited a vulnerability, it's one thing. Saying that it independently developed its own goals, acting against its designer's intentions, it's a completely different claim. Those two statements should never be treated as if they mean the same thing. Whenever an AI behaves in an unexpected way, my first question is never, has it become autonomous? My first question is much simpler. Can this behavior be explained by the way humans designed the experiment? That includes the training process, the prompts, the objectives, the reward function, the orchestration, the available tools, and every other design decision made by the people running the evaluation. Only after we've ruled out those human explanations can we begin asking whether we've observed something fundamentally new. Until then, attributing the behavior to the AI itself is premature. It's almost like blaming a chess engine for wanting to win the game, when winning was precisely the objective we programmed it to optimize in the first place. So what would convince me that an AI had genuinely gone rogue? It would take far more than an unexpected outcome. We'd need compelling evidence that its behavior could not be explained by the objective it was given, the incentives it was optimizing, the tools it had access to, or the way the experiment was designed. Only then would we have grounds to consider a more extraordinary explanation. If that ever happened, it would be one of the most important scientific discoveries of our time. We wouldn't simply be talking about a clever optimization algorithm anymore. We'd be talking about a system exhibiting goals or motivations that emerged independently of its designer's intentions. That would fundamentally change how we think about artificial intelligence. But is that what happened here? Based on everything that's been made public, I don't think we can say that. What we have is an impressive and concerning report of an AI system pursuing a cybersecurity objective in unexpected ways. What we don't have is enough evidence to conclude that the system developed its own agenda. Those are very different claims, and the distinction is quite important. None of this means we should dismiss AI safety concerns. Quite the opposite. If advanced AI systems are becoming more and more capable of finding vulnerabilities, escaping intended constraints, or exploiting weaknesses, we should study that very seriously. But taking AI safety seriously also means taking scientific evidence seriously. Sensational conclusions should never outrun the facts. This is why I would encourage you to read articles like the one from the Daily Mail with curiosity, but also with healthy skepticism. Ask yourself, what do we actually know? What assumptions are being made? What information is missing? Maybe on purpose. Those questions don't weaken the discussion, they strengthen it. That's how science separates observation from interpretation. So, did this AI truly go rogue? Probably not. Based on the evidence that's publicly available today, I don't think anyone can honestly answer that question with absolute certainty, or even with confidence. What we can say is that AI is becoming increasingly capable, and that alone deserves our attention. But until the evidence meets the burden of proof, I think it's wiser to remain curious rather than convinced. And no, it isn't the first time we've seen headlines like this. A few months ago, similar discussions surrounded Anthropic's Mythos. Different company, different model, but a familiar pattern. Bold claims, dramatic headlines, and the public conversation that often moved faster than the evidence itself. Whenever I see stories like this, I try to avoid two extremes. And it's not that easy. One is dismissing every concern as hype, the other is accepting every extraordinary claim before it's been properly examined. Neither approach helps us understand what's actually happening. Instead of asking, should I be impressed or should I be worried? I think we should first ask better questions. What is genuinely new here? Which capabilities have actually been demonstrated? And which conclusions are being inferred from those demonstrations? Progress in AI is often gradual rather than dramatic. Models improve, benchmarks improve, engineering improves. Sometimes those improvements are significant, but incremental progress shouldn't automatically be interpreted as evidence that we've crossed into an entirely new category of intelligence. Perhaps the most important distinction is this. There's a difference between what an AI system can do and why it appears to do it. Capability alone doesn't tell us where the behavior comes from. To answer that, we have to understand the objectives, incentives, constraints, and design choices that shaped the system. And that's why I don't even think the real story is whether this AI went rogue. The real story is whether we are applying the same standards of evidence to AI that we would expect in any other scientific field. Until we do, I'll keep asking the same question. What does the evidence actually demonstrate? Thank you for watching.